Do you live ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome into this Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. We've got a lot going on this hump day halfway through the week. The World Baseball Classic, USA loses to Italy. We'll dive into that. The NFL free agency saga continues. Max Crosby trade is nixed by the Baltimore Ravens. Conference tournaments are underway. The American Conference is underway in Birmingham. For the men, ECU is not there, and you've got that action starting tonight. We may talk some conference tournament as well. Hofstra heading from the CAA to the NCAA. So we'll get into some of the auto bids, some of the best matchups. James Giglio was going to join us today. He is instead covering the ACC tournament, and he may or may not join us second half of the show. Leaning doubtful right now if I had to put an injury report on it, but he did text me this report. Quote, have seen multiple people in ECU shirts at the ACC tournament. So he's covering the ACC tournament along with his father, and we'll see if we can get him on at some point. But either way, that's his contribution to the show. If nothing else, ECU baseball midweek action continues. They get a win last night. We'll talk about that here in a few seconds, and we got to continue our ECU position-by-position rundown. We're on to the cornerbacks. Better, worse, even, question mark. How does the ECU corner room stack up to last season? We'll get into that and a whole lot more. Philip Pilkinen's producing today. It's a full show as far as topics to talk about, Philip, and we're a week away from ECU starting spring football practice, so get ready to do that as well. It's crossover season with baseball and basketball. Of course, the women in the tournament, they'll play Friday night against an opponent to be determined, but there is a lot happening, and there's no rest for the weary right now.
Yeah, all the more reason we need to go to the summer, OTAs or whatever that John Gilbert is talking about. We were talking about it before the show. You got conference tournaments on, World Baseball Classic, just ECU regular season baseball, trying to keep up free agency, Players Championship this weekend in golf. You got Indian Wells in tennis. There's the biggest tournaments of those sports that are not majors. Just trying to watch all these conference tournaments for basketball, like there are just not enough hours in the day. So push spring football back to June.
And you were at a crazy NHL game last night in Raleigh. Penguins, Hurricanes. Penguins rally, tie it with 2 goals in the final few minutes to force overtime. It's obviously no goals in overtime, goes to a shootout. Canes end up winning to pull it out. So how was that experience? How many people stayed till the end is what I want to know.
So a lot of people dipped when the Canes were up 4-2 with a few minutes to go. It got down to about 2/3 capacity, honestly. It was already one of those games that was taking a while. And then, on top of it, it's weeknight, kids got school the next day, and people were starting to dip. And sure enough, they wish they wouldn't have. Fair amount of Pens fans there. I was expecting a few more Penguins fans than I saw, actually. They're a team that travels really well. However, the Penguins will be in the Lenovo Center again a week from tomorrow. And right now, Sidney Crosby out. He did skate yesterday morning, but didn't play. He's expected to be back. Also, Malkin out, suspended. So if you're a Pens fan, it's better going to the game next week. So maybe there'll be a more black and yellow next week. And, Steven, you thought it's crazy with how condensed the Nuggets and Thunder play. Penguins, Canes last night, next Wednesday, and then that Sunday after. So 3 meetings in 13 days.
That is a lot of hockey. So the first ever NHL game I went to was Penguins, Hurricanes. We talked about that. Did they still bring the terrible towels to swing around? Because that's all I remember from my first NHL game is like you had all these Pittsburgh Steelers terrible towers by Penguins, man. It was kind of annoying.
No, you did not.
Yeah,
it was mostly Penguins jerseys, some Steel City shirts, but that was about it.
Gotcha. Maybe the philosophy has changed. The sport crossover, not as diehard as it used to be. All right, let's talk some ECU baseball. We've already got Lane Smith in the chat. He says, can ECU play ODU every week, and is the game tonight really not on television? And so, all right, I'm going to table that thought, Lane, for a few minutes because I don't want to get going yet. Philip, I appreciate you going full screen. Save it for towards the end of the segment. Because if I get started, I will forget to commentate on the game that I went to last night, which was ECU ODU. By the way, before we dive into the baseball, shout out to first off, I took my 4-year-old son Slater to the game and met my father out there. While I was doing interviews, both Ethan Norby and Ethan Rose gave Slater his first autographed baseball. So shout out to the pitchers, man. Both Ethans, and sounds like they kind of went out of their way to do it. So I appreciate them, and always cool, as a dad now to see that because I remember how cool it was when I was a youngster. And so Slater was jacked up about it. And so we're looking forward to taking him to many more games. But how about the game as a whole, Philip? Just you can't draw it up any better. You score in every inning, and like I kind of wrote post game, it wasn't like an offensive juggernaut necessarily, but it was like clinical. ECU was patient when they needed to be at the plate. They were aggressive when they needed to be. They stole bases. They executed small ball, sack fly, sack bunt, moving the runners. You score in every inning, you're doing something right. 2 out hits. Jack Heron almost didn't play because he got hit in the pregame with an erroneous ball, which Cliff Godwin was like, we really got to stop hurting our players right before the game because Boucher got injured with his ankle on a chest bump. But either way, he stays in the lineup, drives in 3. Everybody in the starting lineup had at least 1 hit, except for Matthew Lashley, who didn't even have an official plate appearance, or at bat, because in his 3 plate appearances, he walked once and got hit by 2 pitches. So you just executed in every way possible, no errors, clean defense, and you used 2 pitchers. Ryan Towers, 4 shutout innings, Gavin Marley, 3 shutout innings, 4 Ks, and ECU beats Old Dominion 11-0 in 7 innings to begin a 5-game week. This was just an all-around clinical, matter-of-fact victory by ECU, and this is what they needed to do and what they got done.
I liked, first and foremost, you only used 2 pitchers, none of them named Sean Jenkins, and, great confidence boosters there for Towers, a guy we think that can be one of the better pitchers on this roster, and Marley we think can be one of the middle, I guess, good pitchers on this roster. What I liked about it early, Stephen, is I remember Wags and I are on the way to the arena. East Carolina at the time had 6 hits, no extra base hits. And yes, I do want to see some more power out of this team, but they were just going station to station and were still finding a way to manufacture runs. Yes, to your point, there were some walks and there were some hit by pitches in there, but to just see everybody go up there, make hard contact, find a way to get on base, like that's the stuff that you can build upon and translate down the line when it's just consistently putting the bat on the ball. You'll eventually start running into balls and getting the doubles in the gap, hitting the ball over the fence if you're consistently hitting a round ball with a round bat squarely. And that's what they did last night.
And again, to that point, just 2 strikeouts. 2 strikeouts. And look, ODU's midweek pitching not elite, but ECU, they walked 7 times. They were hit by 3 pitches compared to 2 strikeouts. That is a 10-2 freebie to strikeout ratio, which, is not going to be the norm every game, but just kind of shows what ECU's offensive capability is when it comes to making contact, as Philip alluded to. So I just I continue to like how this team is trending. It was good to see Ryan Towers go out there and look like himself. He kind of joked post-game. He was like, I had to flip the mentality. Look, he's coming back from a major injury. He had internal brace, the smaller Tommy John procedure done, and like a lot of people have been like, we heard so much about Towers. He hasn't lived up to it. Well, he's coming off a major injury, and he's a pitcher. Like, same thing with Brett Antolik. He didn't have arm surgery, but he's still getting back into it. It takes time. It takes multiple outings. And so Towers goes 4 innings, didn't get any strikeouts. He did get 5 swings and misses. I counted pitching across his 4 shutout innings, 2 hits allowed. And he led off the game with a walk and did not walk anybody after that. So it's good to see him. And then Gavin Marley, we've been talking about this, Philip. Like, we need Gavin Marley, A, to get another opportunity, B, to be efficient and throw strikes when he gets that. And again, I think he walked the leadoff hitter he faced and then struck out 4, did not allow a hit, faced the minimum. So both these guys are going to be keys for ECU going forward, and it was good to see them pitch well against an ODU team that entered batting .328 as a team, so they can hit.
Yeah, and look, the top of the roster can hit, especially. They kind of look like a little league lineup, Guys hitting, it's like their leadoff guy was batting 294. There's a few 400s, and then it did kind of fall off there for their 7, 8, 9 guys. But, the Towers thing, he goes out there and draws, like you said, the leadoff walk, and then still faces the minimum, I think, through 3 innings because he was able to get a ground ball double play. And the ability of this team or this staff now to continue to get weak contact. Look, you don't need everybody to be a strikeout pitcher, and I don't think that Ryan Towers and Gavin Marley are going to be strikeout pitchers. Like you said, as long as the command's good, the defense has been better. If you can get weak contact, you can be a really good pitcher. You can keep the pitch count down, and that was the reason we only saw 2 East Carolina pitchers last night. May have actually been due to lack of strikeouts and the high volatility of weak contact.
Kenny Curlin's in the chat, says really enjoyed Pirates baseball yesterday. Chuck says I like Coach Godwin pulling the starters after 4. Towers left the game with confidence, and I think, he was also up there from a pitch count perspective, but definitely they had guys warming in the second, third inning, but he kept pitching well enough that I think they left him in there the right amount of time. Wags is in the chat. Jonathan Wagner, who you went to the game with last night, I believe, Philip, he said, Philip's ACC tournament is ahead of mine. So we now know that Wags is first
Sorry,
off,
Wags.
I guess he's
there we go.
I guess he's watching your ACC tournament feed through the TV while he's
you
watching
can still
our
see
stream.
it. Yeah. Here, let me do this. Sorry, Jonathan. Could have texted me.
Hey, it's just NC State Pittsburgh, Wags. Like, come on. Do we really care? 10 minutes in?
Do you want St. Bonaventure and LaSalle here, Wags? I can give you that too.
Philip's got 2 screens going. This is dedication. Conference tournament time is here. We'll get into that a little bit later. Chuck adding Wags is a closet Tar Heel fan, so that narrative will continue.
It continues.
That will never die. All right, ECU William & Mary today. William & Mary played last night. They played Virginia pretty tough. Lost 9-7. Used a decent amount of pitchers in that game, but showed some fight. William & Mary has lost 5 in a row. William & Mary is 5-9 overall. But I remember the last time ECU played at William & Mary a couple years ago, it was like 13 innings. It was miserable. And I remember watching it on Flow Sports. And I remember wanting to claw my eyes out at how bad the production was. But at least I could watch it. Tonight's game, as we know right now at 12:12 Eastern Time, Wednesday, March 11th, will not be watchable unless you go to William & Mary and pay for a ticket and attend it in person. We are in the year 2026. We're witnessing a baseball school in East Carolina that has hundreds of fans, if not thousands, wanting to watch this game that can't watch it. How do you not have streaming capabilities for a prominent midweek game? William & Mary, you're probably your most prominent home game of the season. As I look at the schedule now, they've played Binghamton. They've played Lafayette. They're going to play North Carolina A&T, Campbell, VMI, ODU, Longwood, Charleston, Elon, George Mason, Towson. ECU is your best home game, and you can't even freaking stream it. Flow Sports, ESPN Plus, find a way. Obviously, they're in the CAA. They have a deal with Flow College. Why is this game not on Flow College? I'm paying $20 a month for Flow College. How can you not get this game on at least that? It should be free in the first place, or ESPN Plus. That's a whole other discussion, but obviously the CAA deal has their TV deal. How is this game not on TV? They're a Division I program that's been around quite a while. It's disgusting. And ECU needs to quit playing these games for the service of the fans that want to watch. I mean, if you can't get a game on TV at your home ballpark, ECU, and any team with an actual fan base with a pulse should not play there. Scott Lorbatcher makes that comment all the time on Bucks on the Pond. I agree with it wholeheartedly. It's disgusting. And that's all I have to say about it. You can listen, by the way, 94.3 The Game. I am glad that we are carrying the game. Dylan Johnson, Coach O will be on the call. They do a great job. But it's 2026. We got to be able to watch this dang game, Philip. Like this is it just really ticks me off. I'm close to cussing. I don't want to get us fined, though.
No, I'm with you. I agree with everything you say. I do want to go a little bit half off topic here. Remember, 94.3 The Game on your radio locally in Greenville, IBX Media app or 94.3thegame.com is also a way you can do it. Now, I will say this. When there's a lot of people streaming it, there's a better chance of buffering. So if you are local, if you can get like an old school radio into your house, I know you're not going to be driving around in your car the whole game. It would be more ideal if you could get it over the radio dial, just for the sake of there are a lot of people that are outside the listening area. We have upgraded our streaming capabilities. Dan Miller, our GM and engineer here, has done a phenomenal job with that, but still, it eventually does hit a limit. There is an eventual thing. It's in the thousands, trust me. We should be good, but if you have the capability to do just an old school radio, please do that for the sake of everybody else.
Good thoughts for sure, because there will be a lot of people tuning in. It is a 4 o'clock first pitch and kind of an awkward start time, but a spring break for ECU. They're on the road. Busing, probably a busing on the way as we speak.
Remember the year we did Starkville and Oxford?
Yes.
We do that again.
It'd be much better than going to William and Mary Lane asking why are we going there. I'm sure this is part of a home and home deal, but look, all due respect to William and Mary, both of them. I just feel like this is a game. ECU. I'm fine with ECU going on the road playing at Old Dominion. Even Elon, even though they've been down the last few years, you got to be a good baseball program, though, for me to, A, have ECU come to your house, but B, if you can't even stream it, what are we doing? So this needs to be the last game between ECU and William & Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. Nobody else is going there. I read off the home teams. And I know ECU's got some ties to the area and all that, but I don't know, man. This needs to be the last game ECU plays at William & Mary, unless it's in the contract. I know the coaches don't care about this, and they shouldn't, but I'm looking out for the fans here. The fans care. The fans want to watch ECU baseball. It needs to be in the contract. This game needs to be televised. That's all I got. All right. Let's get a break in. We got to talk ECU football. We're a week away from spring football, and we got to continue our roster rundown as far as positional previews. Better, worse, even. We're getting back into that. After this, we will dive into the ECU cornerback position. We'll be right back.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the colors, second segment here. We're going to talk some ECU football in a minute. We are a week away from spring practice beginning. We'll also get into the World Baseball Classic as well. Team USA falling to Italy in the WBC, and now there's no guarantee they will even make it to the next stage. So we'll get into that. NFL free agency as well, conference tournaments. Before we do that, Kenny has a question in the chat. It says, Igo, was the last game against William & Mary on Flow they only had one guy calling that game? Question mark. I don't remember. I just know I could watch it on TV. I do remember that last year's VCU series was the guy that was a solo announcer who thought every line drive was the most amazing play in baseball history. I wish we could get that guy on the call for this game against William & Mary, because that was the most entertaining experience I've had watching a game. But I don't know what his status is, and apparently he will not be calling today's game. But you can listen on 94.3 The Game with Dylan Johnson and Coach O. All right, transfer portal period obviously well closed for ECU football. We'll bring back in Philip Pilkinen here in a second for this discussion. We're doing our better, worse, even rundown. We're at the ECU cornerback room, and this is one of the more significant turnover rooms for the whole team. And I'm going to run through this as quick as I can. There's going to be a lot of information here, so prepare yourselves. But just going to give you a snapshot. I'll start with who's gone and who is back. So, departures. Tymeer Brown, starting corner, has graduated. He started 13 games a year ago. Had the pick six against Charlotte. He graded out really well, 78.4 PFF grade. He is gone due to graduation, 598 snaps. Jordy Lowry, part-time starter after Rashid Reason got hurt. Jordy Lowry is gone. He transferred surprisingly to Florida. Didn't see that coming, but he's there. He will compete, much like London Montgomery, for a depth position, I feel like. He played 460 snaps, posted a 63.7 PFF grade. Again, 0 to 100 is your PFF grade scale. 60 is considered average. 70 is good. 80 is great. Anything above that, considered kind of elite. Rashid Reason also gone. He started the first 6 games, suffered a leg fracture. That's when Lowry stepped in and played a lot. Reason has graduated. He played 317 snaps, posted a 57.2 PFF grade. Chance Graves, 12 games, 173 defensive snaps, also gone. Posted a 72.5 PFF grade before graduating in his only year from Richmond. And then Key Crowell, another transfer from the University of Indianapolis D2 school, played in 11 games as a backup, 188 snaps, 62.8 PFF grade. So that's 5 scholarship corners gone from the ECU corner room. Notable returners, not a lot of experience here. Darian Horsley and Angelo Ross are both back. Now, I am extremely high on both these guys, but they redshirted last year as true freshmen. Horsley played in 4 games, 53 snaps, 70.1 PFF grade, 6'2 corner, really long, really physical, has a ton of upside. Angelo Ross played in 3 games in a redshirt year, posted an 88.8 PFF grade, only 25 snaps, much of that was inflated due to his pick against FAU. He was also ejected in that game. I think the first ejection I've seen for a guy who played like 10 snaps because he spiked the ball and then he had a sportsmanlike conduct penalty. If you get 2, you get ejected. Jonathan Akins is back. He transferred from Maryland last year, did not play at all, but he's back. I don't really know what his status is. He is a scholarship player or was last year. Journey Lattimore is a walk-on. He's back. He played in 1 game last year, 14 snaps. And then Tavius Horn did not play as a redshirt. He's expected to miss this season with an injury as well. So really your main returners there, Horsley, Ross, and Akins. Now the Pirates did hit on some transfers here, or at least think they did. They're bringing 3 prominent transfers to compete for immediate playing time. Ashton Levels from FIU, 9 games a year ago, 313 snaps. 63.2 PFF grade, really good run defender, also kind of a physical corner. Raymond Mosby comes over from Louisville, where he played a little bit his first 2 years there. He was also a Westlake High School product, along with Demarius Hines and Christian Peterson. So he played in 5 games a year ago, played in 10 games the year before that defensively, and posted a decent amount of stats, but kind of more of a reserve third-string guy. Should play more here. And then Jalen Bowden, one of the more interesting additions of the offseason for me, transfers from Minnesota where he barely played, 3 games, 21 snaps. But the year before that, he was at North Carolina Central where he posted an 80.7 PFF grade over 550 snaps. So the reality is he's probably somewhere in the middle. The FCS to Minnesota is a big jump. He's probably a solid corner. He'll come to ECU looking to rebound. And then the Pirates also added Amari Mack, high school player from University Christian in Florida. So, Philip, I'll go to you here. Again, we always digest this information. It's a lot. I think this is one of the more true unknowns on the roster. You have Jalen Bowden, Ashton Levels, Ramon Mosby coming in as older guys. Angelo Ross, Darion Horsley, 2 young guys they really like but haven't played a lot. So kind of some unknowns here, but a position where cornerbacks coach Teron Williams is going to have a lot of competition.
So for the better, worse, even, I'm going to go worse just by default. The 3 guys that played are gone. And the guys you brought in, you think you hit on, but you don't know that you hit on it. So by default right now, it's worse. I feel the same way right now that I did last year at this time. You brought in a lot of dudes, and if you hit on 2 of them, great. And if you miss on all of them, or all but one of them, gosh, that's tough. Well, guess what happened last year? 3 guys were legit starters. You saw it with the injury. The next man up stepped up and had a successful season. I think that we have a similar situation this year once the ball actually gets rolled out there in Tuscaloosa. But I think they're in a good spot. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of who. And I guess starting 1 week from today, we're going to start figuring out who's who.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's one of those situations where, the floor, I think the ceiling is higher for, Horsley and Ross, who are, they're really talented, but they just haven't played. And can they mature enough? Ideally, to me, talent-wise, they could be starters by the end of the year and have a really good corner room. But, I think you've got a decent floor here with, Ashton Levels, who's a veteran, has played some football. Jalen Bowden has shown, at least at NC Central, he can be a very good corner. Now, how does that translate to the American? Again, from people I talked to in Minnesota, they play a lot of man, and he was not very good in man. ECU plays more zone principles, and I think it's a better fit. He's 6'1", 180, so he's pretty long. He's not like some short corner, so I think he'll be a better fit for this scheme. And I think Mosby is going to fit right in. He's going into the defense with 2 of his former high school teammates who are going to be in the same secondary, Christian Peterson, Demarius Hines. His former Westlake High School head coach, Rico Zachary, is on the defensive staff. I think he was a high-profile recruit at a high school. I think those guys are going to play well together. I don't know if you have a cornerback 1. And look, there's only so many shutdown corners in college football. You don't have to really be a shutdown corner. ECU didn't have a shutdown corner last year. The interesting thing about the situation is Tamir Brown, who ended up being ECU's best corner last year, if we would have done the same podcast this time last offseason, Phillip, he would have been probably my last guy to expect to have like the season he had. So like I thought Jordy Lowry was going to be a phenomenal addition, and he was just okay. He started the year rough, got better by the end of the season. Rashid Reason was just okay. I lean even. I understand you going worse for sure because like there's no guarantee any of these guys work out, but I lean more towards like even than worse, if that makes sense. Just because I think like you can get similar production. I don't think this room is going to be great, but I don't think it was great last year, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think right now you're honestly like, I would expect even production to maybe even a little better. But it's just where you sit now. It's just like at the end of the year, those guys had played 12 games in a Pirate uniform. These guys haven't. And that was really and I know you can say, well, that'd be every position, but without like a obvious clear, hey, these dudes are better. Like you still have a bunch of guys that are like not extremely proven at this level. I mean, at least FIU is, still Group 5 schools. There's that. But like other than that, like an FCS guy and this, I don't know. I mean, I see both. I definitely can't go better.
I think, I'm with you there. I think the one thing I do like is most of these corners are a little bigger than what played last year. So I think you have a little more length. And now it's just a matter of how does that translate. For me, it's a lot on this position rides with Horsley and Ross. Like if they can mature and become the players they need them to be, and then let's say you hit on 2 of the 3 transfers, then I think you're in pretty good shape. It's not a super deep room. I don't know what to expect from Jonathan Akins after he didn't play at all last year. He's kind of big and fast too, just for whatever reason was a non-factor. We'll see if he can get into the mix and go from there. And whoever it is, Phillip's going to be going to have to be ready to go because ECU opens the season with Alabama, which means you're going to have to be guarding that Ryan Williams fella at Alabama, who's pretty good. I know he didn't have the season he wanted to as a sophomore, but he could end up being a first-round pick. They also added Noah Rogers from NC State, who's pretty good as well. So whoever's starting at corner is going to get tested right away on September 5th or 6th, whatever the date is. I can't remember.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. All right, there's your cornerback rundown. We'll lean worse or even, and I feel like that's almost the first position group that we've kind of felt that way about the defense. Obviously, offense we feel worse just given the amount of losses, but defensively we still feel solid about that room, but a lot to play out with the corner room starting this time next week in spring practice. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. We will talk some NFL free agency. Max Crosby trade nixed by the Ravens. We'll get into some more moves. How does Phillip feel about his Panthers? Other teams making moves as well. We'll get into that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
The Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Steve and Igo. On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, segment 3. We'll hit on some non-ECU topics. If you guys got any more ECU questions, drop them in the chat. We'll try to get to them. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. NFL free agency is, I guess, still not even officially underway, but the tampering period is. So, like, all these deals are done despite them not even being able to be officially announced yet, because that can't be signed until, I think, 4 o'clock today with the start of the new league year. But I'm looking at the free agent signings, Philip, for the offseason, the tracker, and the highest value signing, both in terms of overall value and average annual value, is Jalen Phillips to the Panthers. We discussed this briefly when news broke. I think it was Monday, and that was a big deal. They also go out and they sign Devin Lloyd, linebacker. So how are you feeling about the Panthers free agent class to this point?
I like it. They need to improve on both sides of the football, and you go out there and get two really good linebackers. You feel pretty good about your corners, solid D-line room as well. But that was one of the places you need to upgrade. And this is historically, if you look at the history of the Carolina Panthers, they are one of the more consistent franchises in NFL history at always having really solid linebackers. Obviously more recently with Kuechly and Thomas Davis, but you even go back to James Anderson, John Beeson, guys like that, Dan Morgan, Mark Fields, and even into the 90s with guys like Sam Mills. So this is a group that's always usually good. It's a place that needs to be upgraded, and I love it. Now let's just go find a way to get a true number 2 target, whether that be a number 1 tight end or a number 2 receiver, and that's probably going to have to be done in the draft because there's not really a lot of those guys out there on the free agent market. Glad they didn't go out there and pay Alec Pierce, who can only run 3 outs, which is a go, or 3 routes, a go, a post, and a deep corner. So glad we didn't overpay him like somebody did Indianapolis Colts, who've also just given $88 million to Danny Dimes.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about taking up a chunk of your cap. Obviously, QBs are going to get paid, and we'll see if Daniel Jones, who honestly, the Colts were good last year when he was healthy until he got hurt. So maybe they're just trying to rerun that formula back. We'll see if that is repeatable. You look at Alec Pierce, he got 4 years, $114 million. Wan'Dale Robinson got 4 years, $70 million as a receiver. Romeo Doubs, 4 years, $68 million from the Patriots. Wan'Dale Robinson, of course, signed with the Titans. And you also had Rashid Shaheed signed 3 years, $51 million as a receiver, re-signing with the Seahawks. So I'm with you, Philip. Like, even the Niners paying 3 years, $42 million for Mike Evans, who obviously one of the greatest receivers of all time, kind of over past his prime at this point. But I just think this is not the receiver class. Like, even Denver, who needs a receiver 1, I'm glad they haven't gone out and tried to sign any of these receivers. I mean, if they add one for depth for cheap, that's okay. But, like, these guys to me are all wide receiver 1 or 2s or 3s at best.
Yeah.
Like Romeo Doubs, if that's going to be your number 1 target in New England, I mean, good luck with that.
No, I'm with you. That's not where you want to be. I think it's a bad receiver class in general. You're going to have to build receivers through the draft, I think, in the future. The good thing is there's a heavy, conglomerate coming out every single year. Look, I'm not trying to take it away from Daniel Jones, but I do want to read off the teams he beat. Miami, terrible. Denver, okay, good, but bullcrap penalty. Yeah.
Yep.
Titans, terrible. Lost to the Rams. Beat the Raiders, terrible. Beat the Cardinals, terrible. Okay, Chargers, I'll give you that on the road. Beat the Titans, terrible. Played Pittsburgh, solid football team, lost. Beat Atlanta, not very good. Then, the last how many ever games of the season, Chiefs, Texans, Jaguars, Seahawks, Niners, Jaguars, Texans, all playoff teams except for the Chiefs, but every single one of those games was a loss. Now, Daniel Jones didn't play in all those games, but he did play in the first few of those games. And I even said it. It was before he got hurt, and it'd probably been a little better if he got hurt. I was like, wait till after their bye week when the schedule gets tough. We're going to find out how good the Colts really are. They end up 8-9.
We'll see how they bounce back this year, too. A lot of that, obviously, going to a new offense, I think it took some time for teams to scout, to figure out how exactly to slow them down. And once that started as well, they started to fall off. And I do like their coach, but, yeah, it's just, I don't know. Alec Pierce and Daniel Jones, those are your two highest paid players are up there. I don't know. Other notable news, the Commanders making some moves. They signed Odafe Owe. I don't know if I got the pronunciation on that, from the Chargers. Edge rusher, 4 years, $100 million. Tyler Linderbaum goes from the Ravens to the Raiders. This was not part of the Max Crosby trade. This was a free agent deal. He gets 3 years, $81 million. The Max Crosby trade has fallen apart. The Bengals lost Trey Hendrickson, and the benefactor of that was the Ravens, who opted to sign Hendrickson as their impact edge rusher, 4 years, $112 million. Rather than Crosby. So this is one of the more interesting things we've seen, Philip. But, we've seen trades nixed before, but maybe not after like this much time. Like where the Raiders were operating as if they no longer have Crosby on the books. They're signing people as a result of that. They're committing money, and they're still going to honor all those contracts per reports. But like, I do feel like this is a chance for somebody to get Max Crosby at a pretty reduced rate. You now have the injury scare, I guess, is why they backed out. But you also have, like, the Raiders, they're not going to want to keep Crosby, ideally. I mean, they already traded him. So, like, I think this is a chance for somebody to swoop in and get him for maybe less than 2 first and kind of land a steal here.
It's funny, I asked Wags where Trey Hendrickson was going. He goes, well, I thought he was going to the Ravens until this Crosby deal happened. 5 minutes later, we get the notification, and he goes, well, now he's definitely going to the Ravens. And sure enough, he does. Dallas originally offered a first and a second, and they were leaning towards trading him to the Cowboys until Baltimore came in and offered 2 firsts. So, right now, if that offer's still on the books from Dallas, that's where he's going. To your point, Stephen, though, now they're in a little bit of cap trouble because they still have him on the books. Now he's supposedly failed a physical because they did say this was a physical deal. He didn't get checked out right by the team doctors. So now you got that. Like, does Dallas even want to give you a first and a second? I don't know. To your point, somebody's going to get him discounted, and if he pans out, they're going to look like the GM of the century. And then you're still going to have to pay decent. I think there's still going to have to be a first-round pick involved in this. And if it turns out that all this stuff that's coming out is even more extreme than we think it is, then you're going to look like a moron. So GMs are going to be in a tough spot, And then you wonder, like, so many times, though, guys have kind of like been star players, and then one little thing's come out and they've fallen off the face of the earth. You think of it more with receivers, like guys like Des Bryant, but could this be a similar situation? I don't know.
Max Crosby, I said it pre-show, he is the most Raiders player of all time, and he just can't escape the Raiders. Maybe it's fate. We'll see if the Raiders can find a way to flip him elsewhere. I was looking down this free agency list. I'm curious to get Bobby Harvard's take on it Friday. The Commanders are signing a ton of defensive help, which they need. Leo Chenal also going from the Chiefs to the Commanders. They signed Tim Settle from the Texans defensive lineman. They also added a cornerback, Amik Robertson. So curious to see what his take is on it. And you've got a lot of these teams spending big money specifically on defense, which I don't have a problem with. The Rams obviously in that boat as well, making a trade for a corner and adding Jalen Watson. I'm curious, Travis Etienne, he goes from the Jags to the Saints. 4 years, $52 million. You also had Kenneth Walker go from the Seahawks to the Chiefs. these guys are getting paid salary-wise. Now, the cap is going up, so you have to take that into consideration as free agency. Like, the Broncos needed a running back. They re-signed J.K. Dobbins. I assume they'll add another veteran for cheap or add through the draft for him and R.J. Harvey. But it was clear Denver didn't want to pay top 5 money for a running back, even though they were interested in ETN, even though they were interested in Kenneth Walker. I'm interested that the Chiefs are willing to spend big money on a running back given their cap issues. So I don't know, like, is it just a team-by-team deal? Because Kenneth Walker had a great Super Bowl run, playoff run, Phillip. Is it worth it to give a running back a 3-4 year deal worth $15 million? It just feels still steep. And I know NFL teams have kind of gone back and forth on running backs these last few years. So I have mixed feelings as a Broncos fan. They need a better running game. I just don't know if it's worth spending that money.
I would have been a little more okay with Denver than I would have Kansas City. You know, Denver needs a better running back probably, and they definitely need another receiver. We already mentioned it. Is the receiver out there really? Probably not. It's probably a guy you're going to have to draft, and preferably a true number 1 tight end. It's something you haven't really had probably since Julius Thomas. But your defense is good and your O-line's good. Kansas City has just lost both starting corners. The receiver room isn't that good. In the last few years, the offensive line has either retired or left. Their defense, they just lost a linebacker to Washington. Why the hell are you buying a running back? I mean, you know, this guy is not, and I like Kenneth Walker, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to carry the team on his back. He's not Sweetness. He's not Emmett. He's not Jim Brown.
It's not Derrick Henry either.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm confused on this one. I think Kansas City might be in a kind of a blow this whole thing up and rebuild kind of situation, and that's fine, but I don't know if I'm starting with a smidge above average running back who was part of a great 1-2 punch last year that maybe wouldn't have been what he was without Zach Charbonnet.
We'll see how it plays out. It is always fascinating. The one thing I do like about Kenneth Walker is I think he's still one of the younger running backs in the league overall. Yeah, just 25 years old. So even despite being in his first free agent contract, younger running back. So we'll see. Look, if J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy, he was the second most efficient runner in the NFL last season. The problem is he's always hurt. So that's what terrifies me as a Denver fan. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. World Baseball Classic. USA loses to Italy. What to make of that? Also, college basketball tournaments ongoing. We'll discuss that to wrap up the show.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in color. and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corolla's $159 a month or Tacoma's $249 a month. Save today.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here on the show. Talk some World Baseball Classic. Stayed up watching the end of USA Italy. I think it ended after midnight. USA just dug too big of a hole, and apparently Mark DeRosa, the manager, which, by the way, I actually really like as an MLB Network commentator, did not realize that, at least heading into the game, that they had not clinched a spot in the knockout stage yet, Philip. So he took several starters out of the lineup, and credit Italy. We had kind of talked about this fittingly, like when we were together in Myrtle Beach, that Italy's kind of a sneaky team. They got some MLB players. And they could do some damage. Did not expect them to beat USA. They jumped out to 8-0 lead, win 8-6. Aaron Judge strikeout swinging to end the game. We also fittingly looked at all the tiebreaker scenarios in case of a multi-team tie because USA could, in fact, not make the knockout stage depending on what happens today. So it would be pretty sad if we couldn't even make it out of our own pool.
Yeah, it would be. And, it's a tough pool. It is, but look,
not
man,
that tough,
no, it's really not, I guess. But I didn't think Italy was going to be this good. But, yeah, you got to know the scenarios. Yeah. I don't know how he didn't look up and see that, let's look at the standings. Even if you don't really know all the scenarios, like you had one team, one loss, and two undefeated teams. Like you get beat, you're going to be down there in some tiebreaker situations. I guess maybe he thought, hey, we would have the head-to-head over Mexico, but then you know that Mexico and Italy still play each other. So, I mean, the easiest path is Italy wins today, right? Then you're in. You're the second place team in your group, but you win. Now, there is a scenario where the U.S. can still win the group. The tiebreakers goes down to like defensive runs allowed divided by outs in the tiebreaker games. So what we really need is Mexico to beat Italy, but we need it to be like 14-12. We just need like Charlie Hodges and Jaden Winter out there pitching. And we need like the current guys who've been hitting bombs out there hitting bombs.
So you said it best, obviously assuming Jaden Winter and Charlie Hodges aren't actually out there pitching, but if Italy wins, USA advances. This is a 7 o'clock first pitch tonight, by the way. FS1. This game is televised, unlike ECU and William & Mary. You also can advance, assuming a 9-inning game. Because if it goes to extras, then the math gets all messed up due to the runs divided by outs. So this stuff is just insane. Team USA would advance if Italy gives up 5 runs or more and loses. But Italy would advance if it loses but gives up 4 or fewer runs. So if Italy loses, we need this to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
So we just need a lot of runs, basically, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Feel good.
What we honestly want Italy to go up big early.
Yeah.
And then it's like one of those things like, well, if Mexico claws their way back and wins, you still are in a good spot. And if Italy holds on, then you're obviously in. So that's the thing. Early Italy runs good for U.S. We need to be like World War II where Italy gets off to a good start and then loses.
And we need a lot of espresso shots in the dugout because after every home run, they take espresso shots. And apparently it's working because they're hitting bombs. Hunter Corbin in the chat says players were hungover and DeRosa put on a weak lineup. DeRosa was given bad information. He was given bad information, but it's his responsibility to make sure the information is correct. So
yeah,
I don't know.
This is look, we're not doing 2026 stuff on the show, blaming other people for our mistakes. No, he needs to know the damn situation. He needs to look at the tiebreakers. It's on him. It's nobody else's fault that he didn't know what the heck was going on. Don't make excuses for him.
Quick minute or two on the tournaments. In ACC tournament action right now, NC State and Pitt are tied late first half. James Gilio, who was supposed to join us, instead covering that game. He did say there were multiple ECU shirts. I think NC State, even if they lose this game, which would be a fifth straight loss, they're on the bubble per Lenardi, but they seem to be towards it more in. So I don't know. I'm kind of pulling for Pitt here just to see ultimate chaos either way.
Yeah. But, Santa Clara beating St. Mary's, that's going to help them. They're a bubble team. If you get a bid steal or two, that could be a bubble team. The only thing is, or knock off a bubble team, I don't know if there's really any bid stealers out there with the exception of just some team going on some crazy immaculate run, like Oregon State did a couple years ago in the Pac-12.
Final question for you before we wrap up. What tournament are you most looking forward to as this week progresses in basketball?
Come on, man. It's where it all started. Shout out to Everett Case, started back in the 50s. The ACC tournament. It's always the ACC tournament.
It's a joke now.
Teachers, there better be some TVs in classrooms. You ain't putting TVs in classrooms, you don't get your Christmas bonus.
I'm locked in on the American, baby. Who needs ECU? Give me a Tulane-Memphis rematch. What a great way to start the American tournament in Birmingham. What a packed house it's going to be. Legacy Arena. Too bad the Pirate men can't be there. All right, we got to get out of here. This has been fun. Appreciate everybody in the chat for participating. We'll be back Thursday. We'll talk some Pirate hoops, look ahead to the weekend, and a whole lot more. Darren Vaught on Thursday's show. We'll see you then on Hoist the Colors.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Get a recap of this show at 943thegame.com and on your IBX Media app, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Tune in weekdays at noon to get your ECU sports fix with Stephen Igo and Hoist the Colors on 943 The Game.
Hoist the Colors!